there, my stamping friends. It's Jackie Bolhuis from Klompen Stampers. Today I have a special treat for you. I actually have one of my team members, one of the demonstrators that are part of the Klompen Stampers, as a featured stamper for you. I think I'm going to start doing this once a month for a while because I have so many talented ladies that are part of my team. I thought it would be really fun for you to be able to see some of their stamping ideas. So to kick off this new feature, I have my teammate, Kathi Ondus. Now, Kathy's been a Klompen Stamper for about a year and a half, and she does beautiful work. Her cards are gorgeous. So we are going to, in a second, flip this video over to Kathi so that she can share a super fun project with you. Now, once you're done watching what Kathi has to make sure you follow the link that's down in the video description. It's usually right down there, wherever you get your video description as you're viewing a video. There'll be a link to a blog post. That takes you over to my blog that will have pictures of the cards that she's making for you today, as well as the dimensions and the list of products she's using, plus some other awesome cards that Kathi made using the same products. We wanted to show you as many ideas as we could so that you could really see some of the fun stuff that Kathi makes. So you'll be able to see that all over on my blog post. Now, the other thing, probably the most important thing on my blog post today, will be a link to Kathi's blog. I want you to go check out all the fun stamping ideas that she shares over on her blog. I know it will inspire you and give you so many more stamping ideas. So make sure you do that. And please show Kathi some love. Leave a comment. She's going to be watching the comments on this video. Show her some love, give her some hearts, and then make sure to hop over to her blog and show her some love over there as well. So I hope you like my guest stamper today and that you're inspired and that you learn some new stamping tips. So let's take it away, Kathi.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathi Ondus. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I am with the Klompen Stampers. I am the featured stamper for Jackie Bolhuis for our group for June. The bundle I chose to work with was the Teacup bundle. So today I'm going to show you how I use the Teacup bundle to make an interlocking gatefold card. So I hope you'll enjoy it. So I'm going to switch the camera down and we're going to get started. So the Teacup bundle is in the annual catalog that came out on May 3rd, and it is on pages 12 and 13. So let me pull that up for you just so you can see it. The Teacup bundle comes as a suite, and it includes 48 sheets of designer series paper, the tea boutique cards and envelopes, the stamps and the dies. So today we are going to be using the designer series paper along with some of the stamps and dies. And I'm going to bring in some of the paper here just for you to see. Some really beautiful sheets, a lot of florals. I'm going to turn it around here. Florals, and you have teapots and teacups and just beautiful colors. Makes use a lot of the new colors that we are seeing. And today I'm going to actually focus on the sweet sorbet. So I'm going to flip these over for you so you can get a quick peek at the backs. You have stripes, polka dots, plaids, some florals, and even like a watercolor look in here. So beautiful papers that come with this bundle to use. So today I'm going to use the Cup of Tea stamp set along with the dies. I've done a lot of the cutting ahead of time to save us some time because I really want to focus on how to do the interlocking gatefold. And the other set of dies I'm using is our layering circle dies. And for this, to make the interlocking gatefold, I used the largest of the scalloped, the second largest of just the plain circle, and then the third largest of the plain circle. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. So I'm going to move this off and we're going to stop talking and we're going to start stamping here. So I'm bringing in my papers, and this is using Sweet Sorbet. It is a 5.5 by 8.5. It's scored at 2 1/8, and then flipped around and scored again at 2 1/8. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to fold into the hill. And I just want to make sure I get a good burnishing because I really want this card to lay as flat as possible. Now, when I go to burnish the second side, I fold in, but I want my ends to meet. So I'm not so quick to burnish till I see that they come together, right like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and burnish on the fold line. So there we are. There's our card. Now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take the panels for our card. I have a panel of cardstock that's 2 by 5 3/8. And then I have a panel of designer series paper that is 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to use, you can use your multi-purpose glue. You can use your Stampin' Seal. I'm going to use glue. I tend to like that better because it allows me, if I need to scoot it around and get it centered up a little bit better, it allows me to do that. So we're going to go ahead and add some glue here. I love fun folds, and that I'm always trying to do different ones. And then this one was one that I just thought went really well with the cup of tea and many other of our stamp sets. So I'm just going to scoot this down a little bit because I only want a little bit of an edge all the way around. And like I said, I'm challenged when it comes to doing things straight. So I'm going to put that down, and then we're going to go ahead and do the same with this one. And then we'll adhere these to the front of our card. Now, if you do all the parts ahead of time, this goes really pretty quickly. But there's a few tips and tricks I want to show you when it comes to this stamping that you may be interested in. Now, if you're using paper that goes in a certain direction, you want to make sure that your paper lines up. That you're doing it in the right direction. I also want to make sure that because these are going to lay out next to one another, that they're pretty even with one another. And that looks really pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and use these, and we're going to adhere them to the front of the card. And then we'll do our inside. So again, I'm using the multi-purpose glue. You can use the Stampin' Seal. I chose not to pop any of these up because this has a lot of layers, and I didn't want to add any bulk to the card, especially for mailing. So I chose just to glue them, adhere them down this way. And let's do this one. Again, I turn them on my side, and I want those lined up because they're next to one another, and I want to make sure that they're aligned. So that's good. So here's our card, and now we're going to do our base. Now the base is, again, I use 1/8. I just like the smaller outline. So I'm going to stamp a greeting on this. And the greeting is, everything I'm using is from our stamp set, the Teacup. And this one is going to say, let's take care of yourself. I'm sorry. And I'm going to use the Tuxedo Black Memento ink for this. Now, because they're photopolymer stamp sets, I am going to bring in my piercing mat. And again, I'm big on using my grid paper to make sure that things are pretty much lined up. I know my stamp is because I tested it out before we went live to make sure that I had it even. So I'm just going to stamp here. And then I want to add something in the corner. So a couple options you can do, or add something to the inside. You could take a strip of your paper that's left over from when you trim it down, and you could adhere that to the bottom of the card. But I actually stamped some parts out of the flowers and the leaves, and I'm just going to dump everything out right here for us. I went ahead and did stamping ahead of time, and I did stamp and die cut some leaves for us. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring those in here. And here's our little parts. So I have 2 little leaves. Again, everything is from this stamp set. So I'm going to go ahead and just add some glue, and I'm going to just put those down in the corner here, pretty much right next to one another. And then I'm going to reposition or position my flowers over them. I wanted to leave enough room to write a message, a personalized greeting. And then I did 2 of the little flowers. One of them's going to go right on top here, kind of like here in the corner. And then the other one I'm going to do right up in front of it, just to add a little something to the inside of the card. I don't ever like to leave my insides blank. So there we go. So let's adhere this to the inside. And then we're going to set this off to the side, and we're going to start our interlocking part for the front. Okay, so there's our card, and I'm going to move this off to the side. Now I did die cut parts, and I'm going to show you those. I used Sweet Sorbet to use the solid cup to cut out my teacup. And then I used this outline die or detailed die, and I used a same piece of the designer series paper that I used on the card to cut this out. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to adhere this. Now, you certainly could have used our adhesive sheets to do this and then just peel that off. I'm just going to dab it a little bit with some glue, and so that we can go ahead and adhere this to the base of the teacup. I'm going to turn this over, and this just fits right on top and fits along the embossed edge of the teacup. So here we go. Here's our cup. And I'm going to set that off to the side. And then I just wanted to use a leaf. Now I stamped the leaves, and I stamped it using 2 colors and one with 1 color. And I quickly am going to show you how I did that. I used my Parakeet Party. Again, this is a color from within the designer series paper. And I always try to pull my colors from the paper that I'm using. And I know from using this earlier, this is a pretty wet pad because it's new. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a spoon, and I'm just going to scrape my ink off to one side, and then set my spoon off on a paper towel I have here. And I'm going to ink up my stamp. Okay, now I'm going to take a dauber, and this is garden green, and I'm going to lightly daub the ends of this, and I can even dab off. But I just want to add some variations to the color. I love it when the leaves kind of look variegated and there's a little bit more color to them. And we're going to stamp our leaf. And again, I do use my piercing mat because it's a photopolymer stamp. So I don't know if you can see that well, but can you see the variation in color? Some of the light green from the Parakeet Party and some of the dark, which is what I have here. And it's going to be a little different for everyone. So we're going to go ahead, now that you've seen that, and I'm going to show you how to do our interlocking gatefold. I've done this ahead of time, but I want to show you how I did it. So I'm going to bring in a piece of sweet sorbet. I'm using the largest of the scalloped circles and the second largest that fits inside of the plain just round circle. Now, if you have the metallic plate for your cut and emboss machine, that's all you need to use, and that's what I used. If you don't have a metallic plate, I do recommend once you get these placed, take a piece of washi tape, or I use the Post-it note tape, and just tape it together and take it over and cut it out. Now, when you do that, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a ring that's the scalloped edge, and then your circle. And I'm going to use the circle on the card. So that is how you get your interlocking piece. Now, for this, I found from making them before, this was kind of flimsy. I didn't like the way it kind of bent. So I went ahead and did the same thing I just showed you with the sweet sorbet with basic white, and I cut 2 of them. And I'm actually going to glue these together and adhere them, and then glue them to the back of the sweet sorbet, because that's going to give me some stability for that interlocking piece. I don't want it to rip. I don't want it to bend so that's how I found for myself that it works best for me. So all they do is place one on top of the other and just make sure they stick down well. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the sweet sorbet. I'm going to add some glue to this, and I'm just going to follow it right around. And then I'm going to take my sweet sorbet, and because of the scallops, it's so easy to line up. You're just going to lay it right on top, follow it around until you have this nice, strong interlocking ring. And you can see the difference in it from when I picked it up with just the sweet sorbet ring versus now that you have 2 extra layers on it. So we are going to use the circle that came out of that ring and I cut 1 circle smaller. I used petal pink because the petal pink is what's in my paper. And I'm going to go ahead and use my multi-purpose glue. And I'm going to just put that right on here, again, centering it. And then we're going to use a cup, and we're going to use a leaf. So the leaf I'm going to glue down because I don't want it to catch on the interlocking ring. And you want to make sure that it stays within the circle. The very first one I made months ago, I overlapped the circle a little bit, and it caught on that ring. Now this I am going to pop up, and I'm going to use a dimensional for that. Now I think for the handle, what I'm going to do is take a Stampin' Dimensional, and I do have a piece of, I have a scissors that I use only for like sticky things so that they don't ruin my papers. And I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm just going to lay it around. And you can bend these. They do mold somewhat. And I'm just going to put it on the handle of the cup so that that doesn't collapse. So there we go. And we're just going to put that right here. Now I cut a little tag, and this is out of crushed curry, again, because it's the color in the paper. And all I'm going to do is stamp from another stamp in this set. It says it's time for tea. And I'm going to use my Tuxedo Black Memento ink for that. And then I want it to look authentic with the little string holding that tag from the T. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut a piece. And what I'm using is linen thread. And I'm going to take a glue dot, and we're going to adhere the linen thread with the glue dot on the back of the tag. So I'm going to put this down here. And my hands are a little bit sticky. And I'm just going to kind of attach that to that and ball it over to hold it down. And I'm going to take another glue dot and I'm going to attach it to the other end of the linen thread. And just kind of fold it over itself. And then I'm going to position this where I want it. And I'm going to hold it down there for a second. And I'm going to use my pick tool or the flat end of the pick tool. And I'm just going to work this in there gently and press it to the back of the cup or on the leaf. There we go. And then we'll take one more glue dot and I'm going to put it to the back of the little label of the tea bag. And there's our inside of the interlocking gatefold. So now we're going to bring our card back in. And this is going to be positioned in the center. And when adhering this circle edge, you only want glue on the left side here. You don't want it on this side because then it's not going to open. So I'm going to look to see where I want this. And this is how our interlocking gatefold is going to fit in. And I'm going to adhere glue just to this side. Now, I just make a little mark with my finger, or you can easily take a pencil and I mark it on the edge so I can see it from behind. And I know you can't see that, but I can. So I'm going to flip this over and my glue is going to go from here right around to there. And I'm going to open this up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere it pretty much like this. You could lay it just over and face down if you wanted to. That would work too. But I was looking to make sure that I had it so that the glue did not go on to the other side, and it did not. So we're good here. Now take just a few minutes to press this down and let this dry so that it doesn't pull off. Okay. Next, we're going to use our circle, and that's going to go right inside here. And you only want glue on the right side of this inside of the circle. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to put it basically around the edge here, not going even to the middle. I'm going to go back in and insert my circle, and I'm going to press down, moving all the way around. Now I have my cup there. I could have done the circle and put that on, but for me, I found it works best to do it this way. So now to open your card, and usually I let it set a few minutes before I do that so that I don't pull it off. But then to open your card, you need, I'm afraid because it's not dried, you're going to open your card and then it's going to close back up. And you now have a beautiful interlocking gatefold card using the cup of tea bundle. So I hope you enjoyed this card. I hope I gave you a few tips and tricks on using the two different inks and the daubers to get some variegated color and how to reinforce your interlocking circle. So thank you, and I hope you have a great day and see you again soon.
Thank you again, Kathi, for stamping with us. I loved your card. I hope my viewers loved it as much as I do, and that they give your card a try. It's a great fun fold. Even if you don't want to use the products that Kathi used, it's another fun fold. And you know I love fun folds, and I know you guys love fun folds as well. So thanks for watching today. Make sure you use the link in the video description to go to my blog, and then go over to Kathi's blog and see some of her other ideas as well, and show her some love. We all love to know that you love our projects. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back again stamping with you real soon. Have a stamp happy day.